Welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. Jeffrey Cooperstein here with you guys. Happy hump day. We are about halfway through the week. And Mark Stein came out with a report that said the Mavericks are looking to add a capable starter who can transition to a reserve once Kyrie returns from that torn ACL. Kyrie, of course, looking to return around January, maybe February. It wouldn't shock me if he didn't return in the first half of the season leading up to the 2026 NBA All-Star break, which means he could miss approximately 50 to 60 games. We will get into that report here in just a moment, but before we do, I want to ask you guys to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're covering the latest Mavericks news and rumors all throughout the 2025 NBA offseason, whether it's Cooper Flag, whether it's Chris Paul, who we're going to talk about here in just a moment, or whether it's anything surrounding the Mavericks, we have you covered here on the channel. So hit that sub button. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. Our goal is to get to 32,500 subs as soon as possible. All right, let's jump right into today's show where Chris Paul has been named the odds-on favorite to sign with the Dallas Mavericks. And he's minus 120, according to Bovada, to sign with the Mavs here in 2025 NBA free agency. And when you really take a look at it, it absolutely makes sense. Chris Paul played 82 games last season at age 39 with the San Antonio Spurs. Started all 82 of those games as well. Averaged almost 9 points, 7.5 assists. Shot 43% from the field and almost 38 from three. And given where the Mavericks are as far as their luxury tax and their status goes with the salary cap, I really think Chris Paul makes a ton of sense for this Mavericks team. And one thing I know about Chris Paul, he makes his teammates better. And at the end of the day, that's what the Mavericks are looking for in their point guard. They're not looking for someone to go dominate the ball like Luka did and score 30 points. And while Luka is great, he's my favorite player, so I don't want to make this seem like I'm shitting on Luka. They want someone who's going to facilitate the ball and go get guys open looks. Go get Cooper Flag in advantageous positions. Go find Klay Thompson open for a three. That's kind of what they're looking for in their point guard. And this lines up with the Mavericks thinking of what they want to do as far as upgrading their roster in free agency. They want someone who, like Chris Paul, can absolutely start games. He can play 25 to 27 minutes a night. They're looking for someone who, once Kyrie comes back, could transition into being a backup point guard. And with Chris Paul, who turned 40 on May 6th, that's kind of the guy who I think he is at this point in time. And Paul is someone who's done it for all different kinds of teams in this league. He's done it with a young and athletic team with the Clippers. He's done it with the veteran team, who went to the finals in Phoenix. He's done it with an up-and-coming team in OKC. And so I think he could absolutely fill this role for the Mavericks. And when you take a look at what the Mavericks kind of salary cap situation is, this was posted by Bobby Marks. Shout out to him. He's a fantastic front office insider for ESPN. And he put this out on the day of the lottery. So the Mavericks' projected salary right now is currently at $200 million. And the second apron is at $207.8 million. If you look down in the bottom right, the Mavericks have that tax mid-level exception at $5.6 million. So Chris Paul can fit into that, and the Mavericks would still be below that second apron threshold. So it's something that the Mavericks absolutely can explore, something that the Mavericks could execute with relative ease, and they wouldn't have to give up any assets to go get Chris Paul either. And that's what I think is the most attractive thing about him. Like, there are guys like Lonzo Ball who are out there, or other names that the Mavericks would have to trade for who may be better players, but you'd have to be giving up assets for them. And with Paul here, I think he's the most attractive option because you don't have to give up those assets. Like, I do think Lonzo and Drew Holiday are in play for the Mavericks, but if I had to guess right now, I think CP3 is the Mavs' preferred option. We're about a month and change away from the start of 2025 NBA free agency, and I guess we'll probably know before then whether or not the Mavericks trade for Lonzo Ball or Holiday. I think that move would be made prior to free agency starting, but we'll see what happens with the Mavericks in their point guard situation. I think CP3, as we sit right here on May 28th, is the favorite. Should the Mavs sign Chris Paul? That is our poll question on today's show. If you think they should, type S for sign. If you think they shouldn't, type P for pass. Let me know down in the comment section. You may get hit with a YouTube ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And while that happens, go on down there and get your votes in. Should the Mavs sign Chris Paul? Some other options for the Mavericks that could be down the pipeline. We talked about Lonzo Ball, which would obviously be a trade. He's making $10 million next year and has a team option for $10 million in the following season, so the Mavs would have to give up some assets to go get Lonzo Ball. Some other free agents that are available, Dennis Schroeder, who I think is a pretty good player, but we know that the Mavericks don't exactly have the best history with Dennis Schroeder. Specifically, Dirk Nowitzki doesn't have the best history with Dennis Schroeder, and I do think that would make a difference in whether or not the Mavericks would pursue him. Ben Simmons, I think, could be an attractive option, not on the taxpayer mid-level, but on the veteran minimum. Simmons is definitely someone that can move the ball. He can run an offense, and he's also an excellent defender as well. He's basically a 7-foot point guard, and you know the Mavericks love their length and athleticism, especially on the defensive end. D'Angelo Russell, I don't think fits this thing whatsoever. He's an inefficient shot chucker who's going to make more than the taxpayer mid-level probably, so I would pretty much immediately rule him out. And then Malcolm Brogdon is someone that I know the Mavericks have had interest in before. I'm just not sure he fits exactly what they're trying to do here at the moment. So there are certainly options for the Mavericks, and I am curious to see what Nico Harrison does here because they absolutely need to add a point guard. They already have Brandon Williams on the roster, who I do like, but I think is more of a backup option. I don't think you want to start Brandon Williams every night if you don't have to. And look, if the Mavs are going to try to get back into the postseason this year, I think they have to go upgrade at the point guard position. I don't think I don't think Brandon Williams and whoever else, whether it's Dante Exum or Jaden Hardy, is enough. I really don't. So we'll see what the Mavs end up trying to do there at the point guard position. I think that's the biggest storyline of the offseason so far. Another reminder to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We have year-round Mavs coverage, the latest Mavs news and rumors and analysis, free agency and draft coverage. We're probably going live for the 2025 NBA draft when the Mavericks are widely expected to select Cooper Flag number 1 overall. We also do live watch parties. We were live for about half the games last season as well. So join the over 32,000 subscribers that have already joined us here on the channel. Again, youtube.com/MavsTV. Hit that sub button right now. All right, let's get to the latest on the Mavericks coaching staff as we had a couple of reports come out from that. So let's jump right into those. John Gambadoro, who is one of the most trusted sources when it comes to Phoenix sports in general, tweeted this out yesterday. He said, hearing Dallas assistant Sean Sweeney is headed to Phoenix to interview in person for the head coaching job of the Phoenix Suns tomorrow, which would be today. I think Sean Sweeney would be an excellent choice for the Phoenix Suns. He's a really good guy, and he knows how to run a defense for sure. He's been on the head of the Mavericks bench during Jason Kidd's 4 years at the helm, so I think he's been in multiple head coaching cycles before, and maybe this is the one that would fit him. Maybe he could get the best out of Devin Booker. We'll see if he can convince Kevin Durant to stay, but it'd be a tall task for him, but I think this would be a fantastic opportunity for Sean Sweeney going forward. And then some stiff named Chuck Cooperstein, I don't know who this loser is, but he said, in my opinion, almost assuredly Josh Brookhammer would be appointed to the front of the bench. He's been the main offensive guy for the last year and a half, and like Sweeney, has a long-term relationship with Jay Kidd going back to his days with the Milwaukee Bucks. So Brookhammer, who has been in charge of the Mavs offense basically since the trade deadline of 2024, leading up, and that coincides with the Mavericks' run to the NBA Finals. It sounds like he is going to be the replacement for Sean Sweeney should he leave, and they'll promote Brookhammer to the front of the bench. And we know that Kidd values familiarity on his staff. That's why he brought Sean Sweeney with him. That's why he had Jared Dudley on the bench for the last couple of seasons. And that's why he's kept the likes of Sham God, and Daryl Armstrong, who's no longer on the staff for other reasons. But that's why they were holdovers from the other staff. He absolutely values familiarity. Frank Vogel is also a coaching consultant with the Mavericks, so he likes to keep his circle tight, so it wouldn't shock me whatsoever if Brookhammer was promoted. And the coaching staff is going to have a little bit of a shakeup. Alex Jensen, who was on the bench last season, went to the University of Utah to become their head coach. Sean Sweeney is a prime coaching candidate for the Phoenix Suns. It looks like he's made through to the final round of that. And then Daryl Armstrong, who was let go by the Mavericks for some legal reasons. So the Mavs are definitely going to have a shakeup next season. And my guess, and I know this is really going out on a limb here, I would say Brookhammer and Vogel are on the staff next season. Frank Vogel, obviously a 2020 NBA champion with the Los Angeles Lakers, and Brookhammer, who has been been an assistant with Jason Kidd for a long time. I think those guys are going to end up on staff next season, and that's where the Mavericks will go from there. Maybe they bring another outside guy as well, but if I had to guess, those would be the two guys who I think are on staff next season. I want you to grade Jason Kidd as a head coach for me before we get on out of here. Scale it from 1 to 100. If you think he's the worst coach in NBA history, type 1. If you think he's the best coach in NBA history, type 100. I'd probably put him somewhere in the high 70s to low 80s. But let me know what you guys think down below. That is going to be it for today's show, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in to Mavericks Today here by Chat Sports. And of course, if anything happens, we will have you covered here on the channel. So stay locked in, and we'll see you soon.